Hello and welcome to another Capture the Flag edition of Daryl Show Your Work, episode 84 to be exact. All right, so in this episode, it's going to be a bit similar to the last episode as far as methodology in terms of some things that I do here, but the ultimate goal is a bit different. So I am going to be seeking to conduct privilege escalation, but however, this is going to be done via access token impersonation. So before I jump into this, I want to preface this video with my disclaimer as I usually do. This is for educational, ethical, and research purposes only. Any sort of malicious actions that may directly or indirectly come from someone watching my videos, I do not take responsibility for, nor do I condone. All right. So what I'm going to be impersonating, seeking to impersonate here are delegation tokens, and those are created in a result of a successful interactive log on. All right. So I'm going to be looking for other accounts that are logged on at the same time that I am, and I'm going to try to impersonate their tokens. And so what an impersonation token is, that is actually created in a result of a successful non-interactive log on. So think in terms of stored credentials that require no user intervention. All right, and so yeah, let's jump into it. All right, so the first thing that I need to do is actually let's do something real quick. I'm actually all right. So I'm gonna do some enumeration. I'm gonna get the IP address for our local target here. I like to work with IP addresses as often as possible um, instead of actual host name. So copy this selection and add it here. All right. So I'm gonna need. I'm gonna put it here. 'Cause I shouldn't. I don't believe I'm going to have to actually list my IP address, but let's clear that out. Okay. So let's start from the top here. So do nmap, and then we're going to do a search. We should get the same result, but again, I just do this because I like using IP addresses. So we're going to do a service scan of our target host. So this is our target host IP address. So run that against that, and what we're doing here, we're looking specifically to see if port 80 is open because it's going to be our target. And like I said, a lot of these steps are going to look very familiar if you watch my previous video. All right, it's and the purpose of that video, I wanted to conduct um, um, privilege escalation by bypassing a UAC. So you're going to see a lot of similarities here, but eventually we're going to branch off into some different processes. So now that I see that port 80 is open, let's take a visit or pay a visit rather um, to see what our IP address here is hosting. All right. So we could see that this same um, web server here that's being hosted by our target. I'm gonna click here. All right, so if we look at the top here, we can see just like in the previous video, that is indeed hosting a rejetto um, web server. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, again, like we did previously, we're going to find that tool to be able to specifically target this type of web server, which is rejetto. All right, in order to make that happen, I am going to start up the database, and then SQL database, and then the msfconsole to start up the Metasploit framework. Service SQL. Right, we're going to start that up, and then we're going to combine those steps and start the MSF console right after the database starts up. Take those out in one fell swoop. All right, like Metasploit is loading up here for us. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna create a workspace for myself. So we're gonna say workspace -a to create a new one, and then we're gonna call this one ATI. All right, for the access token impersonation, because ultimately that's what I'm seeking to do. All right. All right, then just make sure that everything is good with that workspace. Yep, still in there. All right, and then I'm going to set our target host as a global parameter, so I don't have to keep setting that up setting that up here within Metasploit. If when we jump from module to module. All right, so all right, so now that I have that set up, um, let's search for that rejetto exploit module. Here we are. So again, what this is going to do is going to allow um, remote command executions. All right, it's going to enable me to be able to do that. So I'm going to say use 0. All right, and now let's go to show options. Let's see if any parameters I need to set. All right, so see that, and this is what my local host is actually already set up here. So this is my actual IP address. So there was no reason for me to have to, list that out ahead of time. And let's see, and then we could see my my remote host or our target host here is already set up, since that was a global parameter that I set in the beginning. And then we could see our remote port 80 is already set for us, since this is specifically targeting a Rejetto web server, and of course it uses the HTTP protocol, which is hosted on by default on port 80. All right, so now that we have all of that set up, there's really nothing I needed to do in terms of configuration. So let's exploit this, and let's see if we can get that interpreter session. So everything, again, up to this point has pretty much been the same as the previous video. This is kind of like where things are going to start to kind of branch off into a different process with us trying to access those tokens to impersonate. All right, so now I have a interpreter session. All right, so let's enumerate some things about the system and then the account that I'm using. So I'm gonna say get UID. All right, so we notice that we have NT authority local service. All right, so that means that I have a limited amount of privileges here. All right, I'm probably not going to be able to do a whole lot. So let's say sysinfo. All right, so we can see that that is from the Windows Server 2019 as operating system is running a 64-bit version of that. However, I'm running a 32-bit interpreter session, so I'm going to want to migrate to a 64-bit session. And again, so what this is going to allow me to do, it's going to allow for more compatibility with the native system processes in the 64-bit system, and it's going to enable me to use more powerful exploitation tools. But however, I still may be a bit limited due to just some of the default permissions here. But let's see. All right, let's not get ahead of myself here. So I'm going to say pgrep. And I'm going to choose the explore process. All right, so by saying pgrep explore, I'm asking it, hey, tell me what system, what process ID is the explore process running. All right, so it just returned back that process ID. So that in which explore runs a 64-bit process. So I'm going to say migrate. And this is to try to increase my my session from a 32-bit session to a 64-bit session. All right, now that operation did fail, and it failed due to having an unprivileged user account. All right, and hence why I want to be able to conduct this privilege escalation. So my ultimate goal here is to try to impersonate a target that that has more privileges than me, that then to be able to gain the level of access that I want to within this target host. All right, and then let's do getprivs and see what my privileges are actually looking like. All right, so if we look at the different set of privileges, it's missing something vital that I would need to be able to do what I need to do, and that's the set impersonate privilege. All right, and that's what I'm going to need to impersonate those access tokens. And I need to do that. In order for me to be able to do that, I'm going to be able to I need to be able to use a module within interpreter called Incognito. So what Incognito is, again, is a interpreter extension that is going to enable me to impersonate or steal access tokens from other logged in users on this now compromised Windows system. All right, and I want to impersonate a user with higher privileges in order for me to do be able to navigate to some more places or do some more things within this target host. All right, so let's try to load Incognito, and let's see what happens. All right, so I'm gonna say load. It's similar to the hold on, Incognito. Am I spelling that right? No, I'm not. All right, it's similar to the WMAP tool, where all you have to do, because it's an extension within the interpreter, the Metasploit framework. All I have to do is type in load and then the tool name, and it should boot it up. So let's see if it boots it up. All right, let's see it. It's saying the interpreter session one is closed. One's because it died. So let's see. Let's wait to see if it'll return with a little more information as far as why that happened. Okay. So it said failed to load extension, no response was received to the core load lib request. All right, so the reason why this happened is because of my failed attempt to migrate my process from a 32-bit session to a 64-bit session. So this is um, so this is um, um, so because I originally tried to do that before, that's why I failed. So if I were to go in and do exploit again, it should be able to load up, just because it has no record of me attempting to migrate my session like that. So let's try again. So I'm gonna do exploit. All right, now let's try this again. So I'm gonna say load incognito. All right, now it loaded successfully. All right, so it didn't have that failed attempt to migrate um, um, my session from a 32-bit to a 64-bit process in its memory. So therefore, this time I was allowed to migrate to excuse me, not migrate, excuse me, to load incognito. All right, so let's get started with using incognito. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to be able to enumerate or to gain a list here of any sort of user access tokens. So any sort of administrator, local user delegation tokens, I want to see, but it's not going to necessarily give me any impersonation tokens. All right, so let's see if we can find some of those delegation tokens. So I'm going to say list underscore tokens, and I'm going to say dash u. It's lowercase, I believe. All right, let's see. Yep, lowercase. All right. So we have two delegation tokens here. We have attack defense administrator, and then we have NT authorities as local service. All right. So let's try to go for this the low hanging fruit here. All right. So the first one is the one that I'm excuse me. The second one is the one that I'm using. The first one here is an administrator account. So let's try to then impersonate that administrator account. So I'm gonna say impersonate underscore token attack defense administrator. All right, close that. All right, so again, this is what's going to enable for me to be able to impersonate this administrator account. So let's see. All right, successfully impersonated user attack defense administrator. So let me do a get UID and let's see what happens. Bam! Now I'm attack defense slash administrator. All right, and now let's see what my privileges are looking like. All right, so more than likely this failed because I don't have necessarily the privileges to execute that command. Now let's try to migrate from a 32-bit process to a excuse me, a 32-bit session to a 64-bit session, and that should resolve that problem. So I'm gonna say pgrep, and then we're gonna go after the explorer process again. All right, and this should return that process ID. It should be the same process ID. All right, 2952. So let's say migrate 2952. All right, let's see what happens this time. All right, migrating from 4316 to 2952, and it looks like that was successful. All right, so now let's do another getprivs. All right, we can see we have a bunch here, and look at there. We have the SeImprersonatePrivilege privilege here. All right, so let me do a let's do that list of delegation tokens again. Now we can see. All right, so since now that I've done what I've done, now we can see we have a system delegation token instead of that local user or local service one that I had before. So let's try to switch to that. So I'm gonna say impersonate token nt authority. Let's see slash system. All right, let's see if we can do that. All right, successfully impersonated user into authority system. All right. All right, so now that I've been able to do that, let's just verify that I am using that account. So get UID. Oops. All right, NT authority system. All right. And then let's do get privs. All right, so that migration allowed me to then be able to migrate to that system to that gave me access to that to be able to impersonate those that system delegation token that I was able to find. All right, so that's how I could then be able to get system wide privileges, and I mean I'm basically in God mode now. So if I wanted to go that route, that's how I could go that route. But let's go back. Remember, this is a capture the flag edition of show your work. So in order to do that, I need to migrate. I need to go on back to the administrator account. So Let's run that command again. Going back in my memory here. All right. So we're going to migrate back to that. All right. And all right. So now I'm going to, since we're in that account, let's do a shell. Let's actually go inside the machine now. All right. So I am going to go back to the root directory of C. All right. So let's do a dir. All right. So let's go into users. All right. So I'm going to say cd users. All right, let's see what's in users. All right, let's go into the administrator here. So I'm gonna say cd administrator. All right, let's see what's in the administrator folder. All right, let's take a look at the desktop. All right, so we're gonna say cd desktop. All right, let's have a look at that desktop. I'm gonna hit dir again. All right, bam, there's our flag right here. All right, so let's see what the content of that flag is. Type flag, and again, type works the same way as the cat command within the Linux. I'm in a Windows system right now, that Windows Server 2019 system. And bam, there's our flag. All right, so I was able to successfully capture the flag by elevating by first gaining access to the system, elevating my privileges, and diving in to capture the flag through the administrator account. All right, so to give a high level overview of what was accomplished here, first I found my target host. All right, so once I did that, I ran an nmap scan to enumerate it to see if port 80 was open, and it was. So we took a visit to the IP address. All right, that see what exactly it was hosting. We saw when we got to a user interface there, clicked on the link there to be able to see that it was doing some more enumeration, seeing that it was doing running a rejetto um, uh, web server once again. So once we found that out, I went inside the Metasploit framework, found that rejetto specific exploitation module, ran it, got us our interpreter session. Once in there, then now it was time to start trying to target some tokens. So, but the problem there was is that I was logged in as a normal user with not really enough privileges to do much of anything. I couldn't even migrate my session from a 32-bit session to a 64-bit session, which was needed in order for me to be able to successfully do some of the other actions I need to do. um, and then I also noticed that I was missing those that impersonate privilege that I needed to that I needed in order to start searching for those delegation tokens and attempting to impersonate them. All right, so once I found all that out, I loaded the Incognito module. First, I had to even when doing that even failed because of my failed attempt to migrate from the 32-bit session to the 64-bit session. So it pulled me out of interpreter, and I had to go back in the interpreter and load the Incognito module or extension again. And once I did that, it was able to successfully load. And once I did that, I was able to then view all the other accounts that were logged in. I was able to see my, again, local service account and also an administrator account. So, of course, I aimed at the administrator account here. So I typed in the impersonate token command within Incognito, was able to successfully impersonate the administrator account. Then from there, I was able to migrate my session from that 32-bit session to a 64-bit section. So, excuse me, session. And once I did that, and also the way that I was able to do that is by targeting that Explorer process, which is a 64-bit Explorer, which is a 64-bit process. And I believe the command, if you wanted to ever see what let me just try to exit out of here really quick for us. If you ever want to see how to do that, there's actually a way to view the process tree, and I showed us this in the last video, but I could show it again here. So in Interpreter, if I just type PS, it'll show us the process tree, and we're just from here. You could just choose what process you want to migrate to, and ultimately you want to choose something with higher privileges than yours. See, it says architecture 64, and you want to aim at one of those processes. All right, so the Explorer process is one of those processes that that I can migrate to, that would get me a 64-bit session, even though I don't see it here. But that is one of those. Here we are, Explorer. We can see here where I'm actually using that, that process. All right. So anyway, once I migrated there, then I was able to once I ran the command again and be able to view all the logged in users, I was actually able to see now the NT system um, authority account. And so I went and I personally used the command to impersonate that. I was able to do so, and again, it gave me those God mode privileges, where pretty much I could pretty much do what I want, run anything that I want. But that wasn't ultimately the goal of the video here. So I migrated back to the administrator account, executed my reverse shell. We actually went inside the target host, dug around some of the folders, and eventually found my flag. And again, like I always say, the flag represents sensitive information that I can either enumerate, exfiltrate, or do whatever I please to do with at that point once I have access to. All right, so please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, show your work. Until next time, take care of yourself, and God bless.